Yo guys, welcome to the Zelda fiction. Today we are gonna see, what if Naruto got harem with Fem Kakashi, Fem Itachi and Fem Sasuke. Part 2. If you end up liking this video, please consider subscribe, so without further ado, let's get into the video. 1 year later. It had been a year since Naruto met Konohamaru. It had been sort of eventful. In that time Naruto taught Konohamaru the basic jutsu for the academy, as well as the Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Although Konohamaru had been making good progress, he had taken to wearing weight. He only had a few pounds on each as to not stunt his growth. In that time Yasuke was an arrogant prick who thought of himself being the best person ever and that everyone should bow before his awesomeness. The worst part was he talked down to everyone but Satsuki. The worst part was he said, "I will have you as my own, and anyone who dares stand in my way will perish underneath my might." At that exact moment Naruto slammed his head so hard against his desk it split in half. No one took notice until there was a sudden "Naruto!" from an angry Iruka. Once everyone looked at the mass of a broken desk and Naruto's head still on it, most people thought along the same lines of, "Wow, he really does have a hard head." Soon after that the graduation exams started. Naruto forced himself to fail even though he could have done all of it with his eyes closed, hands tied behind his back and one leg alone. During the Taijutsu section Naruto was paired against Satsuki. Weirdly enough when the match started Naruto fake fell when Satsuki hit him. When he hit the ground he found Satsuki sitting on his lower region with her fist in his face. Whether it was intended or not it felt good to Naruto. The same could be said for Satsuki, but she would never admit it. When Naruto got to the ninjutsu section he forced himself to fail all 3 basic jutsu. Although the clone jutsu wasn't faked, I mean how could you put so little into a jutsu? I mean sure he has 7 taels worth of chakra in comparison, that's like trying to fill a small cup with a large wave from the ocean without spilling a drop. So when he was told he failed it was expected. I guess it couldn't be helped. Naruto spoke with fake sadness in his voice and went outside to his favorite swing. When the exams ended Mizuki approached Naruto and asked, "Do you want to be a genin?" Naruto was admittedly curious about what he was going to say, so he answered with a "Why wouldn't I?" and a stupid smile to top it off. Mizuki then said if he could steal the scroll of sealing and meet him at a place in the forest outside of Konoha. Naruto wasn't dumb, he knew for a fact it was a trap and Mizuki was a traitor to the village. Later that night. Naruto jumped through the window and landed in the Hokage's office. Once he got there he had a nice chat about a certain traitor and how to make it seem real. So Naruto ended up getting the scroll and bolting into the forest at high speeds, which to Naruto was a light jog. Once he got to that place Naruto decided to read some of the scroll and found out he already had a few jutsu from there. So he decided to close it and wait for Mizuki. Once Mizuki got there he got up and spoke. "I got the scroll," Naruto said with fake glee. Mizuki looked at him and said, "Good job brat, how would you like to know why the village hates you?" Then out of nowhere Iruka appears and yells, "No, it's forbidden." Then Mizuki snarled and threw a Fuma shuriken at Iruka who couldn't dodge and got struck in the leg. "Now where was I? Oh yes, the reason everyone hates you is because the 4th didn't kill the Kikbi, he sealed it. Don't you see Naruto, you are the Kikbi reincarnate." Iruka then yelled, "No, you are not the Kikbi, you are Naruto Namikaze, the future Hokage," yelled Iruka almost as if he was pleading. Then Naruto broke out into laughter and deactivated his henge. Standing in his place was a 5 foot 9 inches man with large muscles, blonde hair, blue eyes, and whisker marks. He had a blue long-sleeved shirt with a red cloak with black flames on the bottom, blue shinobi pants and blue shinobi sandals. If it wasn't for the 4th being dead he would be a carbon copy of him, except for some key differences like whisker marks or even his height. Naruto looked around and spoke. "Man, it's good to be back without that henge." Both Mizuki and Iruka said the same exact thing. "What?" Naruto turned around and spoke to Iruka, "I'll explain later, but for now I have to deal with him." Naruto then flared his chakra and spoke. "Your traitorous acts have brought shame to the village and for that you must pay," spoke Naruto in an icy tone. Just a second later Naruto was in front of Mizuki with his fist already in his gut. Mizuki tried to retaliate but was punched again, only this time in the face, sending him flying through a tree. "That was for hurting Iruka-sensei, you bastard," yelled Naruto before charging again, but this time he kicked him back towards Iruka. Mizuki went straight through another tree and then face first into the ground in front of Iruka, knocked unconscious. Naruto then appeared beside Iruka and spoke. "I owe you an explanation. Well, I henged into a smaller version of myself with a bright orange jumpsuit and played dumb for 5 years straight," explained Naruto while Iruka just looked amazed. "Naruto, close your eyes for a second," spoke Iruka. Naruto complied and closed his eyes. When Iruka told him he could open his eyes he did and was met with the smiling face of Iruka. Naruto then touched his forehead and felt the coldness of metal. Naruto then laughed and spoke. "Thank you so much Iruka-sensei. yelled Naruto as he hugged his older brother figure. Next day. Naruto had his henge active as to not get any questions about it, but there was one minor change. He had a blue headband. Once he walked into the classroom, Kiba yelled. "What are you doing here? This is a place for people who passed." Naruto turned to him and said. "Look at the forehead, I did pass, it was just a more advanced exam." Iruka then went on to do a speech about the dangers of being a shinobi and that they were only genin. Naruto slept through that until he was jolted out of his sleep by the teams being called. Team 6 Team 7 will be Yasuke Hyuga, Satsuki Uchiha, and Naruto Namikaze. Team 8 Hinata Hyuga, Kiba Inuzuka, and Shino Aburami. Team 9 still in circulation. Team 10 Ino Yamanaka, Shikamaru Nara, and Choji Akimichi. Your senseis will be here shortly. Iruka spoke loudly. Naruto waited for his sensei when his Genjutsu instructor Kurama Yuhi walked in and called. Team 8 with me, then not long late Asuma Sarutobi walked in and spoke. Team 10 with me. Naruto was waiting for his sensei for about 3 hours until he showed up. Kakashi Hatake walked in and said. Team 7 meet me on the roof in 5 minutes. He then shoeshined to the roof. Satsuki and Yasuke run for the stairs. Once they leave the classroom, Naruto shushins to the roof, surprising Kakashi. Not long later, both Yasuke and Satsuki are on the roof. Kakashi then speaks. Alright, let's introduce ourselves. Then Yasuke speaks. How about you go first to show us how it's done? Kakashi sighs before saying. Fine, my name is Kakashi Hatake, my likes and dislikes are none of your business, I don't have a hobby, and I don't have a dream for the future. How about you, Bluey? Yasuke says. I like a certain uchiha, I dislike a lot of things, my hobby is training, and my goal for the future is to be the strongest. Kakashi then said. How about you, Uchiha? Satsuki said. My likes are Naruto, tomatoes, and training, my dislikes are Yasuke, and a certain murder, my hobbies are training, and talking to Naruto, my goal for the future is to kill a certain someone and rebuild my clan. Kakashi then said. What about you, Blondie? Naruto then says. Well, first I need to do this. Naruto then deactivated his henge, and now looks like the description mentioned earlier, but with a headband. Well, let's see here, I like Satsuki-chan, training, and Konohamaru. My dislikes are murders, and people who think they are better than everyone else. My hobbies are training Konohamaru, and reading. My goal for the future is to become Hokage and bring world peace. Naruto spoke with conviction in his voice. Well, now that's over with, you have a test tomorrow 6 AM, don't be late and don't eat breakfast or you will throw up, said Kakashi before he shushins away. Training ground 6 AM. Naruto wasn't surprised that Kakashi was late. Nearly 3 hours late he appeared and gave a really bad reason as to why he was late and gave an explanation of the bell test, and you've probably heard the explanation several times, so I'm just going to skip it. When he said start, Naruto stayed still just looking at him. So all I have to do is grab a bell? Asked Naruto. Shouldn't this test be more focused on teamwork than getting a bell? Naruto asked before Kakashi could speak. How perceptive of you, Naruto. Kakashi complimented before charging him. Naruto was about to say something, but stopped himself and got into the taijutsu stance of his father. Then be launched to Kakashi, who didn't have time to block a heavy kick from Naruto. Kakashi went flying and landed a distance away before revealing his Sharingan. Who can play at that game, sensei, spoke Naruto before activating his Sharingan. Kakashi was surprised and a bit scared at the same time when he saw the red eye of the Sharingan. Naruto then took off at speeds faster than Kakashi could perceive. Naruto then landed a heavy punch on his ribs, effectively making him fall to the ground. After Naruto got the bells, he went to work fixing Kakashi up. When he was finished fixing Kakashi up, his bones were already healing and he was feeling a lot better. Naruto then yelled. Both of you can come out now. Then both Yasuke and Satsuki came out of hiding. Satsuki spoke first. That was a great plan, Naruto. Then she hugged him but suddenly pulled away. Naruto looked around and saw Kakashi looking at them. Well, did you have a plan or not? Kakashi asked, genuinely curious. Yes, I had a plan, sensei. Long before you got here I told them both to hide to the best of their abilities and to only come out if I was in trouble. So they deserve the bells for actually listening and not ignoring direct orders. Naruto spoke before tossing both bells to Satsuki and Yasuke respectively. Kakashi then smiled. You all pass, said Kakashi with an eye smile. Naruto just said. How about Ramen, my treat for becoming Team 7? Naruto was more than willing to, seeing as he had already done several S-rank missions just for fun. Then everyone agreed and left to the ramen stand known as Ichiraku Ramen. When they got there they all ate as much as they wanted. Satsuki would never admit it, but she loved ramen almost as much as Naruto. Yasuke and Kakashi were just eating at their own pace. Naruto on the other hand was already on his 42nd bowl. When the meal was done it was close to 200,000 ryu. which was only like 4S rank missions, but no one needed to know that. Next day. Naruto was with his team going to do D rank mission, even though they were little more than chores. It was to build teamwork and was meant for genin. Although they got tired of it rather fast, Kakashi was having trouble keeping in his laughter as he watched them clean the dog kennels of the Inuzuka clan. There was only one upside, but that was basically only for Naruto. Yes, he had a perverse side to him, and that wasn't helping, as not far away two beautiful women in Naruto's eyes were washing their dogs. Who you might as well they were Hana Inuzuka and Tsume Inuzuka. Well, since Naruto knew he was going to be in the Krawai fighted. He was the last male of the Senju, Uzumaki, and Namikaze clans, so it was going to happen one way or another. Naruto was enjoying his view as he was cleaning several kennels at the same time with shadow clones. But he got caught red-handed by Hana, and he knew she was going to say something sooner or later. He just hoped it wouldn't affect his career as a shinobi. Little did he know was that both Hana and Tsume were checking him out as well. It just so happened that Naruto looked at her as she did him. Both Hana and Tsume were turned on by him by just his face. But that is for another day. Both women knew he was going to be in the Kra, so they didn't bother fighting over who would get him. When the D rank missions were done, he was approached by Hana. He took a deep breath as she got closer and closer until she was right in front of him. "Were you checking me out earlier today?" she asked with a seductive smile on her face. Naruto, being the proud person he was, answered with, "Yes, I was, and you have a nice butt." He spoke, regretting his words of the second half of what he said instantly. But she just lied and spoke again. "You're quite forward, I like that in a man." She spoke so seductively he was sure she could see his boner. My and you're big too, how lucky of me." She spoke as if she was thinking to herself. Then she took his lips with hers. It was a passionate moment that neither wanted to stop, but it had to because they both needed air. Once they caught their breath, they dove back into another kiss, but this time they used taunt. They were exploring each other's mouths to the best of their abilities. Then they pulled away once more for air. Then Naruto grabbed her shoulder and teleported to his room. Naruto's room. They fell asleep in each other's arms. The next morning they woke up and kissed each other before the memory of last night came back to them full force. Naruto then asked if Hana would be his girlfriend. She answered so fast that it almost cut Naruto off. "I thought you'd never ask," she said with joy clear in her voice. Then they both took a shower and did their deed there as well. The rest of the day was rather uneventful compared to last night. Naruto was currently holding a cat named Tora. Well, it hated its owner, it actually liked Naruto. For some unknown reason Naruto was good with animals. Naruto was with his team turning in yet another D rank mission. So once Naruto gave Tora back to its owner, he turned back to his team. "So I think we should get a higher ranked mission," Naruto stated before turning back to the Hokage. "So what do you think, Jiji?" Naruto asked, already knowing the answer. "Kakashi, do you think they are ready for a higher rank mission?" Hiruzen asked. "I think they should be able to handle this. If anything goes wrong, I'll be there to step in if necessary," Kakashi stated in his usual monotonous voice. Hiruzen then nodded and called, "Send him in," before looking back at Team 7. "This is Tazuna, bridge builder of Wave. This is your mission, protect Tazuna from bandits that are trying to stop the bridge from being finished. This will be your first C rank mission, so do your best," Hiruzen said before looking at the door. Tazuna then burst through the door. "So I get 2 kids and 2 adults. Well, it's better than 3 kids." Tazuna spoke as if though he was right. Naruto then spoke up. "I'm not an adult, but do not mistake my skills for being lesser due to my age." Tazuna spoke again. "How you're pretty tall for a kid." Naruto just shrugged. Kakashi then spoke. "Meet at the front gate of the village in 1 hour." Then Kakashi vanished in a swirl of leaves. 1 hour later. Naruto was at the gates for about 20 minutes now, and everyone else started showing up with backpacks ready to go on their first C rank mission. Once everyone was there, they started the long trek to the wave. Naruto was bored within seconds. He could have been there by now, but he had to wait for his team. Since he didn't need to do anything right, then he decided to look around until he saw a random puddle that was so out of place, it wasn't even funny. So he decided to walk over close to it and said, "You can come out now." Then the demon brothers fly out at him, trying to slice him into ribbons, but that quickly went bad as Naruto launched them both through the air with a simple knee to the gut on both of them. "Well, that was easy." Naruto spoke out loud as they both fell to the ground. Then Naruto decided, "Why not try this out?" he thought to himself as he used his bluish gold chains to tie the demon brothers up. Then he got a wave of information thanks to his chains, and then he threw both demon brothers flying towards Konoha with a piece of paper on one's forehead saying, "Naruto caught us, so now we work for you." Naruto was laughing the whole time. Once he turned back to Tazuna, he spoke again. "How about you tell us about this Gato person and why he wants you dead?" Naruto spoke with a creepy smile on his face. After the long explanation of why he needed to finish the bridge and why he could only afford a C-rank mission and not a higher rank, Naruto sighed then said. We'll help you out, but this is only to help out the wave from the tyranny of Gedo. Not to mention save the slaves he no doubt has. Naruto turned around and started walking before he turned his head. You coming or what? Barked Naruto before walking forward again. This time everyone was following him. As they were walking they came across a lake just before a heavy mist rolled in. Kakashi then yelled. Get down. Just before grabbing Tazuna and going down. Naruto grabbed both Yasuke and Satsuki before bringing them to the ground just before a massive cleaver-like sword flew over their heads. Once it was embedded in a tree a person appeared on it. Kakashi spoke again. Zabuza the demon of the mist. Then Zabuza chuckled before saying. Ah Kakashi of the Sharingan, what an honor. He said sarcastically. Naruto just looked at Kakashi. You can have this one. Naruto spoke before sitting down to watch the fight. Kakashi pulls up his headband revealing his Sharingan and getting into his fighting stance and charging Zabuza. And their fight went similar to canon. Once Kakashi got trapped in the water prison Naruto stood up and started walking towards Zabuza before disappearing in a burst of speed, kicking Zabuza, sending him flying in the sky before disappearing again, but this time to deliver a spinning axe kick to his head, launching him down before returning to Tazuna. Kakashi then proceeded to beat Zabuza before a hunter nin killed Zabuza and took him away. Soon after, Kakashi passed out from chakra exhaustion and Naruto made a clone to carry him. Once they got to Tazuna's house and got Kakashi on a bed. Naruto walked outside with Yasuke and Satsuki following him. Naruto turned around and said. It's time for training. Before going into depth about the tree walking exercise. Then he created a shadow clone to teach them how to do it. Naruto then walked off into the forest to find a place to take a nap. Naruto awoke when he sensed someone but gave no signs of waking up until that person nudged his arm and he got up before asking. Who are you? The answer he got was not what he was expecting. I'm Haku but you can call me yours. Naruto was put off about that. Okay, I'm Naruto nice to meet you. He said before Haku started laughing. I really got you didn't I Naruto was just confused until she spoke again. I'm actually a boy. Haku said before Naruto laughed. You think I'm stupid I already know you're a girl so don't kid yourself. Haku was confused until she looked down and saw that her pink kimono was partially open showing her wrapped wrists. So you noticed after a total of 5 minutes. Laughed Naruto before saying. You know you're cute when you're flustered. Naruto then walked up to her and touched her bare shoulder before making a flying raging seal. She started walking away before he spoke again. So how's Zabuza? He asked, but when she turned around he was gone. Back with Satsuki and Yasuke they were just walking in for breakfast when Naruto appears scaring them. Naruto just says. You think I'd miss breakfast or the opportunity to scare you too? Naruto said almost laughing. Then Kakashi appeared behind Naruto. I have some bad news. Kakashi said grimly. Naruto turned around and smiled. You mean that the hunter nin was fake and that Zabuza is still alive? Naruto said it like it was common knowledge. Naruto then said. So Kakashi-sensei I already taught Yasuke and Satsuki the tree climbing exercise. So once you regain your chakra you guys can come to the bridge to help protect Tazuna. Naruto then walked over to Tsunami and gave her a 3-pronged kunai that Kakashi recognized. Naruto then told Tsunami to throw the kunai at the floor when she was in trouble or needed something. Naruto then left with Tazuna to finish the bridge after giving a kunai to the rest of his team. 2 hours had passed since Naruto and Tazuna had gotten to the bridge. With the help of Naruto's shadow clones the bridge was going much quicker. The day before Naruto had a talk with Inari about suffering. In about 30 seconds Kakashi and the rest of his team would get there. Once everyone got there Naruto disappears to Tsunami and takes out the thugs that tried to kidnap her. Then Naruto teleported back to his group only to find that there was a thick mist surrounding the bridge. Well that's just great. He said before flashing to Satsuki. Yasuke didn't like it but he was the only person that could defend Tazuna so that's what he did. Naruto was now in the ice prison just looking around when several senbon were launched straight at him when Satsuki jumped in the was. She had her Sharingan active as she looked up at Naruto. She spoke in a quiet voice. I want you to know I love you. She said before kissing him on the lips and then she passes out. Naruto gently sets her down before looking up at Haku. When she went to switch mirrors she was met with a fist to her gut, launching her through the ice mirrors onto the ground. Then her mask fell off and Naruto asked such a simple question that it held such deep meaning. Why? He asked as Haku went on to explain her whole life story before she jumped in the was of Kakashi's Yadori, 1000 birds. Naruto then asked why Zabuza would treat her like he did. Well kid I thought of her as a tool up until recently I started thinking of her as a daughter. Zabuza said with tears in his eyes. Naruto turned around before saying. I'll be back in a second. Naruto then dropped his gravity seal one level and launched so fast and with so much force, he made a small crater where he once stood. The first thing he did was take out all the bandits with one punch or kick on each. Then he grabbed Zabuza's executioner's blade and launched at Gato before taking his head clean off. Then Naruto put his gravity seal back to 10. Once that was finished he walked back to Haku's lifeless body. He dropped the sword before summoning his chains. He then started going through hand signs at speeds that were incomprehensible. When he finished he set his hand on Haku's body before saying, "Uzumaki chain sealing style. Second life." He shouted before one chain grabbed onto Haku and another flew into the sky and grabbed a blue soul. Then the second chain brought the soul down. Once the first chain let go of Haku her body looked new again. Then the second chain brought the soul close to the body before it went completely into the body and Haku's eyes fluttered open. "Where am I?" she asked before all her memories came back to her at once. She looked over and saw Zabuza with tears in his eyes before he asks, "Haku, is that really you?" Haku started to cry herself before she got up and hugged Zabuza saying, "It's really me." Then they all hear a thud and see Naruto laying on the ground passed out. Next day. Naruto wakes in a bed then looks over and sees Haku sitting in a chair next to the bed. "Well, I could get used to this," said Naruto taking Haku out of her thought. "I know I died but how am I here?" she asked Naruto. Naruto chuckled before saying, "Well, that is because of a Kekkei Genkai of mine called True Sealing Chains. They are said to have only been used by a person." The man was named Akira Uzumaki. He was one of the only people to be around when the start of both the Uzumaki and Senju clans, said Naruto as he winced in pain. "Well, the technique I used was called Uzumaki chain sealing style. Second life. The technique used more than enough chakra that it might kill the seven tails. Luckily enough I have just more than that so I survived." Naruto took a deep breath before righting himself and began to speak again. "Strangely enough I'm the last known male of the Senju, Uzumaki, and Namikaze clans. So no matter what happens I will be in the craw 3 times over, so that's going to be trying." As soon as Naruto said that, Satsuki burst through the door and jumped onto Naruto's bed and hugged him tight enough to get a grunt of pain out of Naruto before kissed. "Do you have any idea how reckless that was?" yelled Satsuki on the verge of tears. Naruto smiled and hugged her back. "Don't worry. I'm fine. I just need a day or two to rest," Naruto whispering in her ear. An hour later. Naruto had just walked outside when Zabuza walked up to him. Naruto saw that not only was Zabuza holding a new sword, but he was swinging it around and testing if it was balanced. When Zabuza saw Naruto he stopped swinging the sword and put it in a sheath that was nearby. "Hello, Naruto," said Zabuza as he approached Naruto with a new-looking sword by his side. When he got within 1 foot of Naruto he put his hand out that had the sword. "Here. You earned it, kid," said Zabuza with a hidden smirk. Naruto smiled and put out his hand. He grabbed the sword from Zabuza and with a grin on his face spoke. "Thank you," said Naruto in a very respectful tone. Naruto unsheathed the sword and tried to swing. The sword was lightweight, but Naruto could tell that even from a light hit it would do a great amount of damage. "What's the name of the sword?" asked Naruto. "Its name is Frostmourne. I made it myself," said Zabuza. Naruto looked at the elegant blade. It was a long blade that had a silverish blade. It had a normal handle that met with a cross guard that was connected with another one through an animal head that had long horns that curled back and blue glowing eyes. The second hilt seemed to be sharp at the edges and more like a blade than a hilt. The blade seemed to glow blue with a strange dialogue along the middle. Naruto spun the sword around in his hand before slashing at a nearby tree. The tree split in half and fell from its tree trunk. "Can you teach me more about swords?" Naruto asked. "Sure thing, kid," said Zabuza. The two spent nearly an entire day just working on skills that would serve Naruto well. At the very end of the day Zabuza taught Naruto a signature jutsu that was extremely common in the 7 swordsmen of the mist. That jutsu is called the Hidden Mist Jutsu. The next day. Naruto and his team were just about to leave the Land of Waves. Zabuza and Haku had decided to stay in Wave for a little bit to make sure the people were safe. They might even start teaching some people in the Wave about the ninja techniques. Naruto took out a scroll and a kunai. Then Naruto sealed Frostmourne into the scroll and put it in a seal on his hand. Naruto handed one kunai to Haku and another to Zabuza. The second Zabuza saw the kunai he knew. "How?" Zabuza said, nearly speechless. Naruto gave Zabuza a grin and shrugged it off. Haku walked over to Naruto and gave him a gentle kiss on the lips before quickly pulling away with a deep blush on her face. "We'll meet again," said Naruto as he and his team started to walk away. "I'll hold you to that," said Zabuza as he and Haku waved them goodbye. Back in Konoha. Naruto's outfit hadn't changed much. Only people who were incredibly perceptive or had a dojutsu could see the seal on Naruto's left hand. Naruto, Yasuke, Satsuki and Kakashi were all standing in the Hokage's office, about to give the report when zoned out. Kakashi then reported the A rank mission, and the rest of the group left to rest for a little bit at least until the Chunin exams happened. On Naruto's way back to his house, Konohamaru saw him. "Hey. Naruto-sensei, would you like to play with me and my friends?" asked Konohamaru. "Sure thing," said Naruto. "I let him enjoy his youth while he still has it," thought Naruto. After a couple of minutes of playing with Konohamaru and his friends, he saw Konohamaru and started following him. When he turned a corner and yelped, Naruto used a little more speed than usual and flashed over right next to Konohamaru. Naruto flashed around the corner to see Kankuro holding Konohamaru by his scarf. "I would put him down if I were you," Naruto said in an icy tone. "And what if I don't?" asked Kankuro. "Well, let's just say you might need to use my makeup to cover up what I would do to you," stated Naruto before looking Kankuro in the eye and saying. "Am I clear?" Naruto then turned his attention to Temari and said. "Well, it was nice meeting you both, but I'm afraid I have to cut our conversation short," said Naruto before walking towards the tree and saying. "You can come out now." Then all of a sudden sand fell from the tree and a gorgeous female came from the sand. She had long scarlet hair with bangs covering most of her forehead, except for a small kanji meaning love. She had pupil-less green eyes and a red battle kimono with a brown belt around her waist and a brown sash-like thing going from her right hip across her left shoulder, holding a big gourd of sand on her back. The most noticeable thing to Naruto at least was her seemingly E-cup wrists. Naruto could sense something deep inside her that was similar but different to something he has felt before. Then he realized it, she too was a Jinchuriki. Naruto then said. "Well, I may as well introduce myself. I am Naruto Namikaze. What's your name, gorgeous?" Naruto asked, unconsciously using the word gorgeous to describe her. "My name is Gaia of the Sand. It's nice to meet you," she said with an almost unnoticeable blush. But Naruto picked up on it yet didn't say anything. In Gaia's head, she was having an argument with Shukaku. "Why did you say that?" asked Shukaku. "I don't know, it just happened," she replied. "Well, I can tell you something right now, make him yours. I can sense something in him I haven't in a long time. When you're near him I feel a sense of peace. I know you like him, so just say it," Shukaku said, making Gaia blush deeper. "I don't know why, but I want to be near him," Gaia said to Shukaku. Shukaku then said. "If you don't claim him soon then someone else will, and you don't want that now, do you?" He spoke in a calm but demanding tone. Gaia then said. "I'll try, but I don't think he likes me." Not even a second later. Naruto walked up to her and hugged the smaller person. "Listen, I know you have been through a lot and have had a terrible childhood. But I'm here to help you. I will be the shoulder you can cry on, the person you can lean on when things get tough. Just stay happy. I want you to be able to live a normal life. That can happen, but you have to let me in so I can help you." Gaia just looked up at him and hugged him back before saying. "I'll try to let you in, but I don't know how." She spoke with sadness in her voice. Naruto then kissed her forehead and said. "I'll help you no matter the cost." Then Gaia did something he didn't expect. She looked up at him, went onto her tippy toes and kissed him on the lips. Naruto didn't pull away like Gaia thought he would, instead he deepened the kiss. They stayed like that until Gaia needed air, so she broke the kiss. Gaia looked deeply into Naruto's eyes. Before they shared yet another kiss. This time Naruto added tongue and they explored every crevice of each other's mouths before they had to break apart again for air. Naruto then whispered. "We can continue once the Chunin exams are over. I'm sorry, but this is very badly timed due to the events happening soon." Naruto was a bit disappointed himself, but he had to take into account what was going to happen soon, so he had to stop here and continue another day. Before he could break the hug, Gaia gave him another kiss and said. "That one was for good luck." Before she broke the hug and went over to her teammates. Team 7 meeting. Naruto and the rest of Team 7 were talking about the Chunin exams and if they wanted to join. Naruto accepted before Kakashi could finish his sentence. Both Yasuke and Satsuki agreed with his decision to participate in the Chunin exams. Even though Naruto didn't like having to wait, he had to, so everyone participating in the exams has a fair chance to get there. Luckily that was tomorrow, so all he had to do was wait. Once he got knowledge of this, he left to find a secluded place to train. Little did he know Satsuki was following him discreetly. Once Naruto got to the secluded place, he closed his eyes then said. "Satsuki, you can come out." Before Satsuki walks out of the bushes. Once she gets there, she asks. "So what's going on with you and all these girls, huh?" She asks with anger clear in her voice. Naruto puts his hands up and says. "Listen, I'm in the cross, so I have to have multiple wives, or by the time I'm 16, the council would force me into taking people I don't love into a marriage with me. So don't be angry at something that I don't have a say in. Since I'm the last male of 3 different clans, it's impossible to avoid." Satsuki's face then went through a series of emotions including anger, confusion, and realization. Satsuki then apologized for her error in judgment. Naruto spoke again. There is no need to apologize for your actions. I guarantee most others would have had a similar reaction to yours. Naruto was talking in a way that gave Satsuki a sense of comfort. Naruto walked up to her and tilted her head up so he could look her in the eye. Satsuki then kissed him with all her withheld passion and love. Naruto kissed back when he realized what had happened. Satsuki then pulled back for air. I want you to be my first. Satsuki whispered in his ear in a seductive manner. Naruto just nodded before vanishing with Satsuki in his arms. Naruto's room. Naruto and Satsuki got up from their former position and went to take a shower. They did their deed twice more in the shower. Once they got all cleaned up, Naruto had a small talk with her. So, I may or may not have a Sharingan. Satsuki looked and said. Be what now? Naruto put his hands up in defense. Listen, it wasn't really a choice. I got attacked and lost my left eye before someone replaced it with a Sharingan. Naruto then proceeds to show Satsuki his Shisui Sharingan. Naruto turns back to her and asks. Are you mad at me? If you are, I can just leave. Satsuki then tackles him into a tight hug and plants a soft kiss on his lips. How could I be mad at someone I love so much? I want to be with you, I don't care if I have to share you, I just want to be with you. She says before resting her head on Naruto's chest. Naruto smiles then asks. Will you be my girlfriend? Before resting his head on hers. Of course I will. She said almost yelling. Naruto and Satsuki then went to sleep in each other's arms. Next day. Naruto wakes up with Satsuki in his arms. When she wakes up she lifts her head and gives Naruto a kiss. The memories of last night still fresh in their minds. Well, it's almost time for the Chunin exams, said Naruto as he got up. Once they both got dressed they left towards the academy. Once they got there they were greeted by their teammate Yasuke. Then they all walked in as a group. Once they got there they were met with a large group of people and 2 transformed Chunin. Once Satsuki saw the game jutsu she was about to say something when Naruto grabbed her shoulder and shook his head. Not much later a girl wearing a blue and gold shirt that covers her B-cup priest's metal spiked bracelets and brown form-fitting pants along with white boots. And imagine Chun-Li from Street Fighter. She also had her hair tied in twin ponytails and she had a fire in her eyes. She proceeded to challenge Satsuki to a taijutsu battle. Naruto stepped in and spoke. Well, normally I would not do this, but seeing as I can tell you pack quite a punch, I don't think Satsuki should fight you since she would lose rather quickly. No offense, but she isn't the greatest in taijutsu. On the other hand, you seem to have worked hard to master your fighting style. So how about after the Chunin exams we have a spar? Naruto said with a smile on his face the whole time. Naruto and his teammates then left towards the stairs to get through to the real test. Once they got there they were faced with the rest of the rookie 9. They all just looked at Naruto before looking at the rest of his team. Naruto then saw a white-haired person walk over to them. Once he got there Naruto noticed that he had information he shouldn't have and that meant he was a spy for someone. Then it hit him when he saw the look in his eyes. He was a snake. Orochimaru was behind this. There was no doubt about that. Naruto wasn't about to let classified information out to the public. Naruto delivered a heavy kick to his ribs before whispering in his ear. I hate snakes. Naruto then calmed down before taking his seat waiting for the exams to begin. The proctor then appeared in a poof of smoke. After he gave his explanation he gave out the tests and said begin. Naruto didn't need help with his exam since he already knew all the answers. Satsuki was copying the hand movements of some people that knew what the answers were. Yasuke did a similar thing but to a greater degree. Once they were all finished the proctor said some bullshit about never being able to take the test again if they failed the next question. Once that question was over one Anko Mitarashi came through the window with a banner. Once she said. Meet me at training ground 44 for the second exam in 10 minutes or you fail. Everyone ran out of the room hoping to get there quickly. Once almost everyone was got except for a certain blonde that is. Anko went over to Naruto and plants a kiss on his lips before saying. It's been what 2 months since we last had our fun? Anko asked knowing the answer already. I guess it has. I've been busy with missions and sleep. Said Naruto before kissing Anko one more time before leaving for the Forest of Death. Once he got there he saw what he expected. A strange ninja from a small village with a long neck and tongue. It was obvious to him that that was Orochimaru. Naruto sighed before waiting for the explanation of the second exam. Once it began the first thing they did as a group was take to the trees and watch for any movement. They came up with a password shortly before Naruto left to go to the bathroom. When he finished he turned around and was met face to face with a giant snake. Then the thing slammed into him taking him almost a mile away from where he was. Naruto sighed before cracking his knuckles and going through hand signs. Swift release. Shadowless flight. before Naruto disappeared and slammed an unweighted fist into the snake, instantly killing it. Once that was finished, he started moving back to his team. When he got there, he was met with the sight of Orochimaru biting Yasuke's neck. Then he screamed in pain before fainting. Naruto then dropped his gravity seal down to 8. That's when he flew at Orochimaru with the intent to kill. When he got there, he landed a devastating punch to his gut. When he coughed up blood, he turned to look at Naruto. Then Naruto teleported behind him with a heavy kick to his skull, sending him through trees. Then Orochimaru opens his mouth and another one came out similar to a snake shedding its skin. Naruto started launching kicks and punches on him to the point of it looking like a person fighting a rag doll. When Naruto was finished, he spoke. "Listen good and well, you pedo snake, I don't like you or anyone else like you. If you ever show your face to me again, I will not go so easy on you. Now scram or I'll end you before you can blink." Naruto threatened with a giant amount of killer intent, enough that would make the Jubi flinch. Naruto then walked away and took both Yasuke and Satsuki to a safer place. Once they were safe, Naruto set them down in a shelter-like place where they could rest without worry. Naruto went around patrolling the area, making sure no one was near them. In that short amount of time, Naruto found a random team that so happens to have the scroll they need and quickly took care of them. Once that was taken care of, Naruto went back to his team to check up on them to make sure they were still healthy and didn't need any medical attention. 15 minutes later. Naruto just finished checking his teammates for injuries sustained from battling Orochimaru. Naruto sighed before turning around and coming face to face with 3 sound genin. Naruto shook his head before saying, "If you want our scrolls, think again. Now, leave or suffer a fate worse than death," Naruto said in an icy tone. The team just looked at him like he was crazy. "Give us the Hyuga as well as the Uchiha and no one gets hurt," said Dosu. "There is no way in hell you are taking my teammates away from me," Naruto said before going through hand seals and yelled. "Water style. Great vortex jutsu." The massive wave of water came down on the team of sound genin and nearly killed Zaku. "Leave now and I'll spare your life," said Naruto with a menacing smile. "Let this be a lesson to you and your pitiful village. Do not mess with Konoha," said Naruto as his eyes started to change and morph. When the group saw him, they all thought one thing: who the hell is this guy? The team of genin looked at each other and shared a terrified look. The group was in a cold sweat as they made their next move. Just then Zaku moved from his place and grabbed hold of Kin. Zaku drew a kunai and put it to her throat. "Don't come any closer or she dies," shouted Zaku as he racked his brain to figure a way out of their current situation. "I don't want to die," thought Kin as she started to break down. She couldn't believe it. Her own teammate was going to kill her. How did this happen? Thought Kin. Your kind makes me sick. You shouldn't use your teammates, nor should you threaten to kill them. Just because of that you will not made it out of here with your whole team," said Naruto in a monotone voice. Then he seemingly flashed over to Zaku with an abrupt hit to his arm. The kunai fell to the ground. Zaku cried out in pain as his arm was no doubt shattered. Seconds later, an abrupt noise was heard from the tree behind Naruto's teammates were in. Not even 5 seconds later, both Satsuki and Yasuke appeared next to Naruto with black, fire-like marks all over their bodies. Yasuke was just behind Dosu and was about to break his arm. "Damn it," said Naruto before creating a clone and flashing over to Yasuke and swiftly delivered neck chop and incapacitated him. He decided to make another clone to take Yasuke back so he could rest. Naruto glanced back and saw Satsuki about to break, surprisingly enough, Kin's arm. There would have been more incentive for her to break Zaku's other arm over the girl that was nearly killed not even 5 minutes ago. With a sudden burst of speed, Naruto appeared next to Satsuki and gave her a quick hug and a chop to the neck. "It's going to be okay," said Naruto as Satsuki passed out. Naruto turned around after picking up Satsuki and saw that Kin had passed out from pure fear and shock. Naruto, after a couple seconds of indecisive action, he decided to take Kin with him. Naruto wanted to make it to the tower before the time was up, so he tried to wake up his team. "Yasuke, Satsuki, wake up," Naruto said as he nudged both of them. They didn't even respond, so Naruto had to carry them. As he and his clones picked them up, he started to make his way to the tower. "Better loose those sound genin," said Naruto, leaving in a blur of speed. Once he reached the tower, thanks to his insane speed, he was faced with a riddle that he was not in the mood for. Naruto set down his team before dispersing his clones. Naruto sat down in a cross-legged position and thought for a long second. Then he snapped his fingers and stood up. "That's it," yelled Naruto in glee. He took out the 2 scrolls and crossed them, then channeled some chakra to it, causing a poof of smoke to occur, and out of that smoke came a 5'8" man with brown pineapple-like hair and a scar across his nose. He froze, then his face changed into recognition. He gave a light smile before speaking. "Hey, Naruto, what happened here?" the man asked as he saw the passed-out forms of his old students. "I lied, Iruka-sensei. I almost lost both of them," said Naruto with a grim look on his face. Okay Naruto. Let's get them to their rooms to get healed up before you have to go to the preliminaries, said Iruka as he picked up Yasuke. Who is this girl? I haven't seen her before, asked Iruka as he started walking towards the door. I believe her name is Kintsuchi. She was almost taken out by another team before we found them and stopped them, said Naruto picking up Satsuki and creating a clone to pick up Kin. That's good to know. How about we get some ramen from the kitchen here? Asked Iruka. Sure I'd love some ramen, said Naruto quietly following Iruka. They left with a smile on their faces and people on their shoulders. As they made it to a room they noticed that not only were the people on their shoulders waking up, but the girl known as Kin was going to freak out the second she woke up, so they decided to move just a little bit quicker. When they reached the room Naruto could feel something almost demonic. Then it hit him, the girl from earlier. The one with the long red hair and the biju. Naruto shrugged it off for the time being and set both people was carrying down and gave them some of his chakra so they could heal a little faster. 20 minutes later. Naruto and Iruka had already eaten their ramen and had split in ways. As Naruto was walking to find something that would keep him entertained for the time being. As if on cue a sudden spike of chakra occurred. As I thought. Naruto said quietly as a blur of red hair shot out in front of him. There stood a girl with long red hair and teal pupilless eyes. She had rather large frieze for someone of her age. Her face was almost perfectly heart-shaped. She stood there for a second before speaking. Seems we meet again, said Naruto. The girl known as Gaia looked at Naruto for a second before responding. Seems we do. I would like to ask you something, Gaia said waiting for his response. Go ahead, said Naruto. How are you always so calm? We are similar aren't we? Why don't you seem affected by the voice constantly screaming in your head? Questioned Gaia. The reason that I'm not affected is because while we are similar you are a different seal. Yours seems to let the one-tails talk to you, said Naruto. Do you think you could help me? Asked Gaia. In her head a booming voice screamed, don't let him touch you. Mother wants his blood. Screamed the deep booming voice. I need help. If you won't give it to me I must do it myself. Gaia screamed mentally. Yeah, but unfortunately it is going to have to wait until the preliminaries are over. I don't have the right equipment at the moment, but I promise that I will help you, said Naruto with determination evident in his voice. Thank you, said Gaia quietly. Naruto walked over to her and did something that no one would have expected. He hugged her. She stood there in pure shock. Then a light blush came over her face as she stood there. Naruto pulled away from the hug a couple of seconds later, seeing the shocked look on her face. Naruto gave his signature foxy grin that made her blush even more. Then a ninja named Hade approached the two. Get ready. The preliminaries are going to start soon, said Hade as a light grin crossed his face. Naruto looked over at him and took a step towards him. Thanks for the heads up. I'm guessing you're the proctor? Asked Naruto. Well you guessed right, said Hade. Alright. We'll be there in a minute, said Naruto as he stepped back towards Gaia. Naruto decided to grab her hand and drag her to the preliminaries. Hey, slow down, yelled Gaia as she was being dragged along by Naruto. A blush was growing across her face as Naruto dragged her to the preliminaries. Sorry I can't do that. We need to get there soon or we might get disqualified, said Naruto as they reached the room. 5 minutes later. Naruto, Gaia, Yasuke, Satsuki, Choji, Temari, Kankuro, Minli, Niji, Tenten, Ino, Shikamaru, Yoroi, Kiba, Hinata, Shino, Dosu, Zaku, Kin, and Misumi all stood in lines. Kabuto decided to step out leaving 20 people. Naruto took a glance at Satsuki and Yasuke, making sure they weren't freaking out. Naruto realized that he could have sealed the cure marks as well. Naruto let out a long sigh before muttering something under his breath. Naruto then heard that Hiruzen started speaking. You have all gathered here to face off to become a Chunin. Now listen close. You will be fighting in 1 versus 1 battles to test your strength and see if you move forward, said Hiruzen. Naruto looked at Hinata, Gaia, Satsuki, Minli, and Kin. Seconds later Hade spoke. There will be a series of 1 versus 1 battles. The battle only ends when the other coincides, dies, or is unable to continue. With that out of the way I will step in and stop the match in order to save as many lives as possible, said Hade. Anko then spoke into her mouthpiece. Seconds later a panel moved and 2 names came up. Yasuke Uga and Yoroi Akado. Naruto took a glance at Yasuke before nodding. Naruto was unaware that the Leaf Genin had a special ability. Will everyone but the 2 listed please move to the upper floor, said Hei taking his stance near the 2 genin. Naruto and the rest of the genin followed his orders and walked to the upper floor. While walking Naruto saw Kurenai looking at with his that lusta. Naruto filed that away for later. Then he continued to walk with his team. Yasuke and Yoroi stood across from each other. With a wave of Hei's hand the two began their fight. Yasuke ran towards Yoroi with a tiny amount of chakra in his hands. Yasuke moved into his gentle fist stance and started fighting to the best of his limited movement. Yasuke's hand was caught seconds before it hit Yoroi. Yoroi started to drain Yasuke's chakra before a quick punch to the nose stunned the Leaf Genin. Yasuke tried to block a chakra point, but the second his chakra hit blocking Yoroi's, the curse mark started to cover his body. The second Naruto saw this, he yelled. "Yasuke, stop toying with this guy. End this and we can work more on your skills," shouted Naruto. The curse seal started to recede after Naruto yelled that. Yasuke gained a determined look and stopped using chakra. Yasuke quickly jabbed Yoroi in the gut before bringing his head down and slamming his knee against his head. The ninja known as Yoroi was incapacitated the next moment. Yoroi is unable to continue. "Yasuke is the winner," yelled Hade. Yasuke was just about to fall over when Naruto and Kakashi appeared right next to him. Kakashi picked up Yasuke and took him back to the upper area. Naruto looked around for a minute and saw that there was a weird-looking sound jonin. Naruto saw something that was really out of place. The sound jonin seemed to notice Naruto and grinned at him. Naruto grimaced before flashing back to his group. "Kakashi-sensei, take Yasuke to seal that off. If the same happens to Satsuki, I'll deal with it," whispered Naruto. Kakashi nodded before disappearing with Yasuke in his arms. "The next match will be Zaku Abumi and Shino Aburami. Please take your positions," said Hade. The two mentioned jumped down to take their positions when Kiba started to speak. "If there is anyone I wouldn't want to fight, it would be Shino." Kiba turned to look at Hinata, but she was watching Shino. Shino took his fighting stance and started to speak. "You should give up now before you get hurt." "Huh. Seems like I have feeling in one arm," said Zaku. He burst off in a blast of speed, hitting Shino with a splicing sound wave. Shino seemed to be knocked out from just one hit. The moment that happened, Zaku smiled. "Got him," Zaku said. Zaku walked over to where Shino was supposed to be before seeing him standing there with nothing but bugs surrounding him. He smiled and spoke in a typical voice. "You should give up. Not only do you not have a chance, but..." Shino pointed behind Zaku. "My friends, they will take your chakra if you try attacking me, and if you try attacking them, you won't be able to stop them before getting hit," said Shino with a hidden smile. "Are you sure about that?" questioned Zaku as he moved his other arm. Shino didn't seem surprised that not only was Zaku using his other arm, but that he didn't seem phased when he started to try and use his jutsu. The second he tried to use the jutsu called splicing sound wave, it shredded his own arms. He fell over not much later. With Kakashi and Yasuke were standing there ready to start the sealing process. Yasuke had to take his shirt off and kneel down in the center of a sealing circle. Kakashi cut his hand before starting to write kanji. After almost 10 minutes of working, Kakashi finished the seal and sent a burst of chakra through his body, finishing the seal. The second it was over, he fell over, passed out in the circle. Kakashi was about to walk over to him when he felt a sudden presence. He then saw Orochimaru standing next to a pillar. Kakashi felt his breathing hitch and his heart started to beat faster from pure fear. Kakashi tried to calm himself down, but he couldn't think straight. "You should just hand him over and I'll be on my way," said Orochimaru. Kakashi sped through hand seals before grabbing his wrist. "Lightning style. Chidori," yelled Kakashi before looked Orochimaru in the eye. "One of us isn't leaving here. If you step closer I will be forced to attack," said Kakashi. "I can't believe I just said that," thought Kakashi. There were several things he could have said, but he just had to say that. "I'll leave you here, just know that not only is Yasuke going to come seek my power, but Satsuki will do the same," said Orochimaru walking away. "That was close," mumbled Kakashi. Kakashi stood up, grabbed Yasuke and left. Soon after Yasuke was taken to an infirmary, Kakashi reappeared right next to the rest of his team. The end. So how was this part? I hope you like it. And if you like it, share this part with your friends and like the video too. And don't forget to subscribe our channel for daily awesome fanfiction. Okay, it's time for me to go. Bye bye.